Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. And now to honor America, please join in the singing of our national anthem. Representing the three-time Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils, Arlette.
I feel like I'm at a game. Oh my gosh. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Happy Devils Sunday! It's May 6th, 2018. I don't think I screwed up the intro. This is the Let's Go Devils podcast, season 1, episode 31. Lots of things going on in the NHL. Lots of things going on in Devils land. I got Beer Baron and Shorts Guy. You guys may want to look into the camera, guys, because we're on air.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, we're just letting you go. We're just letting you go.
Yeah, dude. You got that opening down pat.
Yeah, it only took you until second week of the offseason to get it down.
Hey, you know what? Better late than never.
I'm getting mission control on my side all set up, which means setting up my cell phone, getting a nice frosty beer, and making sure that my volume is correct.
So before we begin, I just want to say happy birthday, 46-year-old Martin Brodeur, his birthday. He was born on May 6, 1972. I remember many years. Remember the Marty Party when he turned 40 years old, and they were playing the Philadelphia Flyers in the 2012 playoffs, and Marty, did he get a shutout that game? I forgot if he did or not, but he did win the game, and I remember I was dressed like Martin Brodeur with a nice party hat up in section 208. I'll try to get the picture to you guys, but also people are filing in to the Let's Go Devils podcast Facebook page. David Perlmutter, happy Boston Bruins Elimination Day. I'm going to like that comment. Happy birthday, Marty. You know what? Everybody in the Facebook group, say happy birthday to Marty. Show us some love. But yeah, also, and I have a exclusive footage. Actually, I just ripped it off of YouTube. The 30th anniversary of Another Donut. Have another donut. Big fat.
Oh, you love this. You love this event. This is your favorite all-time event. It really is. I mean, you also need to tell the listeners what you wound up naming your dog and why.
Yes. My dog was actually born on May 4th, 2004. That incident, Marty, being born on May 6th, and then the donut incident. I named my dog Donut. She recently passed away, but it is legendary. I remember seeing Randy Velishek during the lockout, and he said, "Who do you want this autograph to be made to?" And I said, "My dog Donut. She's going in for a procedure. She got spayed." And he wrote, "To Donut, good luck on your procedure, Randy Velishek, number 27." So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that is awesome. Yeah. I never knew that part.
Yeah, I still have it somewhere. Maybe I'll post it in the Let's Go Devils Throwback Thursday hashtag TBT. Sometimes we do things there, but guys, a lot of things going on in the NHL. Tampa Bay beat the Boston Bruins today. No linking today, as far as I know. But but
I'm so happy he's out of the playoffs.
Brad Marchand.
There's plenty of guys on that team that the NHL could back and have on their advertisements with little ones they have. The fact that they still parade Marchand out there, but this goes back to the whole NHL All-Star game too. So I'm still pretty bitter.
I know. Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I still think that the Bruins even should have stepped up and said, "Listen, you're not going to the All-Star game. You're suspended." But it's almost like the NHL wanted that bad guy to be at the All-Star game. It's annoying.
But let me ask you though, if he's the devil, do you feel the same way about him?
Ooh, good question.
So he does all that stuff.
Question.
So he does all that stuff. Now, if he's a devil and he's doing that to the Rangers, or if he's a devil and he's doing that to whomever in the playoffs, do you still look down on him? That was the whole Sean Avery thing too. If Sean, first of all, I would never like Sean Avery. But if Sean Avery was a devil and he was doing that kind of stuff to Henrik, Lundqvist, would you still say, "Come on, dude, that doesn't belong in the game"? Blah blah blah.
The licking, probably, yeah. The licking, yes. The licking has no place in the game whatsoever. That absolutely has no place in the game.
I can't believe we're talking about this. I can't believe we're talking about
an opponent. An opponent should not. Who knew we'd ever say that?
Yeah, I know. And I wouldn't be surprised if the league would hopefully do something about it to kind of maybe put it at the same level as it's essentially like spitting at someone. Yeah, same bodily fluid is being transferred from you to your opponent. So really, and now you're more direct with it because you're physically licking it. I mean, to me, just physically licking your opponent is just absolutely just disgusting. Why would you want to do that?
It's
whatever. To each his own. If he wants to do it, whatever. But it's just, I think the league needs to visit that.
It's funny that I saw Callahan said something about it after the game, but I didn't really, get a chance to see it. But if somebody licked my face, I'm pretty sure I'd be dropping my gloves and punching him in the mouth as hard as I could. That's the thing is he gets away with this stuff all the time. And in their prior series, he was in the Maple Leaf series. I forget who it was, but he kissed him. It was it's you give him credit for this, that he is a professional agitator. That is for sure. But he's also
absolutely. Yeah, and the guy does have skill, so you can't take that away from the guy. He has skill.
He does.
He's just, he's just becoming he's becoming an agitator. But this goes back to our previous conversations from previous weeks, because there's no enforcer in the game anymore. Then he's allowed to be an agitator. Yeah. It's the same thing. Sean Avery was at the tail end of the enforcers, and I think Sean Avery would have benefited from.
Yeah, but if you remember, he used to run away. Remember, Clarkson used to challenge him every single game, and Clarkson would chase him around the ice, and you'd see Avery diving into the benches, he would do something stupid, and he would go, no. And then he would say after the game, "Oh, I was just trying to goad him into getting a penalty." No, dude, you're just a coward.
You were running away. You were running away. I was showing someone. I forget who I was showing. I was showing the that devil shift against the Rangers in 2012, just to just say, hey, this is what the league is missing, just to show that like the drop of the puck and then all six forwards on the ice are just going at it. It was great.
Yeah, goon style. You know what's funny is though, like there's a lot of people out there that are like, this is staged fighting. This is preposterous. Like I write for the New York Post or whatever paper I write for. I give out free cuddles on the side.
Well, this is what I think. This is what I think. Either way, that whole licking incident, I found to be hilarious. I don't think I'd rather be on the I hate to be the team or the player on the ice to be the other end of that lick, but honestly, I think it's freaking hilarious. Now, is it good for the game? I don't think so. I mean, it goes back to that whole Sean Avery incident. You know, when he's doing like this. You like my
Brodor's face.
Yeah, he's getting in Brodor's face. He's like that. See, we got visuals with the camera. Yeah, it's just as annoying, but it is entertaining. But and then if you remember Brodor, he didn't shake Avery's hand. That after when they were shaking hands at the end of the series, and then I mean that was just over the top. Fatso. Forgot to shake my hand, this and that. And, all those snarky comments that Sean Avery said, after the game.
Oh, yeah. He was another professional agitator. That's all you can call him. That's all it was good for.
Professional A is another word for it, but, this is a family-friendly show, so I won't. You guys can fill in the blanks, but
yeah, right.
I don't know. I just we talked about it. PL3 when he was on said it. Guys like that wouldn't be doing what they're doing now. That's for sure. And I mean, a lot of people that talk about how bad fighting is for the game. It does police some of the dumber penalties, and I would like to see. Okay, so it's a really hard thing to compare. But how many concussions have happened since fighting has left? And I'm not saying how many concussions happened while fighting. I'm saying like how many concussions happened besides fighting when they were still fighting in the game compared to how many concussions are happening now. And I mean, it's a faster, different game, so it's hard to tell though.
Yeah, no, but yeah, you have a point there. Like you still had hits that, in today's NHL, a lot of Scott Stevens' hits would probably be finable and bannable.
Main point of contact on Lindros was definitely his head.
Well, that was Lindros' fault for looking down, but that was a product of him being too big for his junior team, and he didn't have to worry about it. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, looking at over the run of play, since fighting has pretty much gone away. First, when fighting was big, you've got a point. I mean, guys like Marchand are allowed to go and run riot on the rest of the teams, and give out those bad hits.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'd be curious, but that would also be hard to tell because they really didn't look at concussions or consider them, a big deal.
Exactly.
So there's also no there are no stats on how many concussions were legitimately had back then either.
Yeah, and not to really get into a full discussion about like concussions and things like that. Lord knows I've had my fair share in my lifetime. But I mean, back in the day, it was just like, it was like, oh, you just got your bell rung, or oh, you're just seeing stars, or I remember in a football game, I hit a dude so hard that everything went boosh, just like flash white, and then the next thing I knew, I was standing on the sideline. I was like, cool, I just missed. I don't know how much time just elapsed, and I'm now coming around. It wasn't like I got shipped off on a stretcher. I was like still playing, but I just I eventually walked over to the sideline. Was like, oh, and then I came to. But you're right. There's different things to tell and stuff like that. It's just guys like that just drive me crazy because it takes the focus away from the play on the ice because there's so much good hockey going on right now, and then you have some stupid thing like he's licking somebody's face. And then all the other, the amazing outlets that barely cover the NHL to be, that's all they can talk about. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, come on, dude.
Speaking of that, speaking of said said sports outlet, I had it on today, and they had the Spike Ball Invitational Open on, which was going to be followed by the Cornhole Championships.
Yeah, they're really reaching now, huh? The Ocho.
That was and this was, I want to say this was the main network, not the second. And that was their lineup for Sunday afternoon. Spike ball followed by cornhole.
And they're trying
to get annoys me. It annoys me that is what's on TV on a sports network instead of hockey.
Yeah.
No, granted, I understand it's licensing and NBC has purchased the license, but still they hardly cover anything. If they do, it's real quick. But then at the same time, I also understand the advertising where both of those two different I can't even call them sports because they're not. Mm-hmm. The two different party competitions probably paid a ton of money to be on there, and that's how you get coverage. If you're willing to outbid and outspend someone else, you'll get the TV time.
Yeah, David wants to know what. David wants to know what no dodgeball tourney. David, you got to turn on to the Ocho because that's where the that's where the dodgeball tourney's on. And thank you, Douglas, for the update on the Vegas game. So they're up 2-0 right now. So Vegas is on the verge of possibly being, moving on in the playoffs, which is pretty amazing. So Tampa Bay locked it up. They're moving on today. That Pittsburgh-Washington series has been amazing. A lot of back and forth there. So, I mean, that's even though Washington's up 3-2, that's still, I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't call that one done by a long shot.
No way. That one's not done. And I really feel bad because I personally had to play too much hockey this week that I had no chance to watch any hockey on TV. And I know this week's been just full of great games. So I've actually here in my home base, I've got the Vegas game on the big screen while we're doing this, just to kind of keep an eye on that. And that the second Vegas goal, they just went up, and it went in and out so quick. They had to review it. It was a good goal, but yeah, it'll be. I know we were talking about this last week about Vegas could possibly be one of the first expansion teams to win a championship in their first year. It actually happened in MLS when the Chicago Fire won. Not one, but two major trophies in the course of their first season as an expansion franchise. Mm-hmm. So it has happened in the modern game, and that was not in the first season of the league too. I think it was 98 that they did that. Two years into this into the league. So I mean, aside from the NHL teams that won it in their first, in the first versions of the Stanley Cup Finals, this is there's very little precedent for Vegas to possibly do what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. If they can do it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though. They are primed and ready to do it, and I think they've got somebody in between the pipes that's trying to prove a point. The Flower is going to be I don't know. I just think that Vegas was – McPhee put together one hell of a team, and they didn't look like they would scare anybody on paper, but he just put together a solid team, and that's what they are. It's just a solid team. They remind me a lot of those Devils teams that won the Cups of, there's no real big time, huge, flashy guys. You have a solid goaltender, you have solid defense, and you have guys that can put it in the net, and that's really what it's all about.
Although at the same time they're all solid players, no superstars, and you got to imagine they're all playing with a chip on their shoulder because they're the guys that their teams basically said, "Nah, you're expendable." You were put on a list of we could do without you. Mm-hmm. So you have to imagine there's a lot of motivation there as well. Like, oh yeah, it's like, I wasn't good enough for your team. I'm not so good for your team, but look at me now. I'm in the I'm almost in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, yes, and to answer Michael's question, of course I play the cello, my friend. I haven't played a lot lately. Family time will take that away, but NHL franchise on EA Sports is probably the greatest video game ever invented. And yes, Taylor Hall would be a nice addition to the cover on 19.
The jinx. It's a jinx. You don't want him on the cover.
No, it's not. It's not a jinx. That's the Madden curse, not the NHL
jinx. No, it's a jinx. It's a jinx. Scott Stevens. wasn't he on the cover of one of those video games?
He was on the cover of the equivalent of Blitz, NHL Hits, which was a fun game. Let me tell you what, that game was a lot of fun.
That was fun. You know, one of these days we should stream the podcast and play video games with our fans on Twitch.
Yeah, I will.
We should do something like that.
I'll tell you what, if we do that, I will school somebody in the shell. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to have
to admit, I don't play sports video games. I can't. I don't like doing it. I'd so much rather play hockey than play hockey video. I don't.
I mean, yeah, I'd rather play the real thing, but at the same time, you got to be able to conquer multiple platforms.
The only hockey video game, and I see Kyle Math, my buddy Kyle is listening. The only hockey video game that I will enjoyably sit and play is Blades of Steel.
Blades of Steel, one of the greatest games ever.
That's the only hockey video game that I enjoy playing is Blades of Steel. Other than that, any other I don't play FIFA, I don't play Madden, I don't play any of that.
We don't get any royalties for this. I just want to tell you, we're just fans talking about the game. But seriously, Blades of Steel is like probably one of the greatest games, and we're old enough to really appreciate how good.
We're old enough to have the original cartridges, which I still do. It's somewhere. My original cartridge is somewhere. If I can find it, if I can spot it, and I can grab it while we're on air right now, I will do that. It might be on my TV. I'm not quite sure.
I still have an original Nintendo. Actually, I have to be honest. It's my wife's original Nintendo. So we have the original Nintendo. If I need to like go on eBay or Amazon to pick up Blades of Steel now.
No, I got an extra copy. I got an extra copy.
Do you?
Yeah, because my old roommate.
I am holding you to.
My old roommate used to work at Hollywood Video or Funkoland or something like that. So we used to get all the video games and pretty much, I would say, long-term lease these video games. And
just pay the $10. Just pay $10.
Long-term lease. I love that phrase.
Yeah. And then you get into the early NHL games, and you get, super fan number 99 skating around, but you get Roenick. It's not so much me as it's Roenick just going to go in there and make his head bleed. You can tell me what that's from.
Can I play this donut video? I've been dying to play this donut video.
Yes. Thanks, Sam, because I can't answer Beer Baron's question.
You know it, Jan. I know you know this.
All right. So here's the donut video. Jim Schoenfeld. We tried to get him on the program today, but you would have to run into the Rangers PR. I think he's still with the Rangers organization. But can you imagine? Can you imagine? Asking for an interview request, and your organization's called Let's Go Devils Podcast.
Yeah, the answer to that is no.
Yeah.
You're the guys that kept calling from outside of Madison Square Garden.
All right, so everybody in the Facebook Live, I'm going to play the 30-year anniversary donut video. Happened around this time. Oh, don't worry about it. If we get the cease and desist letter, we'll just stop it. Anyway, here you go.
That's awesome.
I gotta say, there was zero editing in the news back in the day. I gotta say,
none.
We just bumped our rating to PG-13 in one segment.
Wait a second. Let's hear that again. This is too funny. Hold on a second.
If you have children in the room, cover your children's ears, please.
It's after 9. We're fine. It's after 9.
Yeah, I think there's Jabba Clee, Pat Verbeek. Let's go back to the videotape. Here we go.
love the reaction of the newscaster who was like, "Well,
Yeah.
well." I wonder if there was a sorry for the coarse language, folks. We're gonna cut over the weather.
You fell and you know it. You fell and you know it. Good. You fell, you fat pig. Have another donut. Have another.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Have another donut.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
Awesome. Oh, I miss those things. Those things need to happen more often in the game.
Yeah, I mean the world is way too PC. Not just the game. Like everybody's too afraid to offend somebody. So now it's like, even if you wanted to say something like that, and they showed it on air, somebody would be upset. Like, oh, I'm allergic to donuts, and that really offended me that they talked about donuts.
I
don't know
know.
what to say.
I know.
I don't know. And to answer Michael's question, would they go back to those retro jerseys? I sure hope so. I kind of had this vision in my head. I love the black and red. That dark, like forest green and red looks so sharp.
Yeah. I had heard that after this season they were going to start doing third jerseys again around the league. So I would hope that they will have a red and green jersey for next year.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the hope, and just have that as a permanent third. I mean, who knows? I'm sure Adidas is actually no. I'd be willing to bet that the decision's already been made and the jerseys have already been designed, because that takes a lot of work. I mean, you and I both know that. So does Sam.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of them having to announce it. But Adidas can do some cool stuff, and I really hope that they do some cool things with the jerseys, and hopefully bring back that red and green.
Would you be down for like a completely murdered out jersey, like an all black?
Yeah,
totally.
How
the Blackhawks did that all black jersey. That was like super cool. They did a couple years ago, and that was like their third jersey. I think the Devils can definitely pull that off.
Oh, I think they absolutely can too. I actually got two different soccer jerseys this year that were all blacked out, and they look really cool. So yeah, I would absolutely be for it. Sam, what do you think? Would you be Would you be in for an all black jersey or no? Yeah,
I would be I would be like all green. All
like
green.
That dark green.
Yeah, the dark green with
the red helmet.
Yeah, with the red.
Yeah, that would kind of be very.
That red helmet. The red helmet looks good.
Yeah. That red helmet does look really good. That would be very much like Minnesota though, if we did that dark green.
Yeah.
It would look very similar to their jerseys. So I don't know if that would fly.
I don't know, man. I have this. I have an Elias jersey that was like the blacked out jerseys that they did.
Yeah, with like a little bit of red trim on it, right?
With a little bit of red, yeah, and they look so nice. Yeah. I mean, the logo's black too, which I doubt they would do that, but yeah, I definitely like that old.
They just.
But I love the old jerseys.
Fan jerseys. I do love the old jerseys too. What about all black with red and green trim?
That would be
might look pretty cool.
That'd be nice.
That would look pretty cool. Yeah, Sam, we see you have your jersey.
Well, I like the green stripe near the shoulder.
Yeah, the green stripe is cool.
Yeah.
And the red ones had
the best.
Had the white and the green before the red there, I think.
Well, they technically had a throwback night this year when they had Patty's retirement game. They wore white at home, which is kind of unheard of nowadays. People don't forget.
Which is why I find it very weird that Winnipeg, for example, will do a whiteout, yet they're going to be wearing blue when they're there, and their opponents are wearing white. I don't understand that.
Cool. But I mean,
I agree. It does look very cool, but the opponent's wearing white, which just always kind of strikes me as odd, just slightly odd.
Yeah, my biggest question is, if you wanted to, like, let's say I wanted my team, my home team, I'm the owner of the team, and I want them to wear white at home. Mm-hmm. Would they? I guess the NHL would say no. They'd probably nix that, because then they'd be like, well, then you have to wear your other jersey on the road, and other teams aren't going to want to wear white. I don't know. becomes like a giant pain.
It does unless unless you get the directive from the league for each individual game instead of just a blanket statement like you're always, your dark is your home, your light is your away. If you get a directive from the league for every game, like, oh, today you're wearing red, tomorrow you're going to wear white, they're going to wear whatever. Week on week, it's because they do that in soccer. They get the directive from the league on what jerseys they're going to wear. In some leagues, actually most leagues, I believe.
So, not to jump off this conversation or this topic, but let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the playoffs right now. So the potential matchup with Tampa Bay could possibly be playing either Washington or Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, what you see is what you get. I mean, I think Washington going into Tampa Bay, I think that would be a fun series to watch.
Oh, I agree. Washington Tampa Bay would be a great series. Washington Pittsburgh would also be a great series. It's just a matter of actually, I don't even know where I'm going with that statement. I just think either one would be a great series. I'm thinking on the fly here. It's been a long weekend. Either one would be a great series. You've got, I think, the better goaltending matchup in a Lightning Washington series than you do in a Pittsburgh Lightning series.
Yeah,
overall, you have better offensive star power in a Pittsburgh versus Lightning series. Not to say that Ovechkin's not a star, but I'm just saying overall, I think there are more names on both the Lightning and the Penguins in that series versus Lightning versus Washington.
Which, I think if Washington makes it into the next round, TV ratings will stay up near the top because then more people will be intrigued. They'll be like, oh wow, Washington actually got past second round. What a concept. Yeah. And now you have Ovechkin playing on a bigger stage than he's ever played before, which he hasn't played on the pinnacle yet, but he's playing on an even bigger stage than he has before. You have him playing for the Eastern Conference Championship, and they're that much closer. So you got to think that he's going to be flying around the ice like, his head's on fire. And there's going to be and there's a possibility that they could, if they make it to the Stanley Cup, I think that would hold the TV ratings alone. You know what I mean? Like, I just think the intrigue of watching Alex Ovechkin possibly finally getting his chance to win a Stanley Cup, would bring a lot more people who are casual fans to watch the game. And then there you go. The NHL has their superstar that they can push the game with,
Yeah. Although, unfortunately, we see that and we see that as logical, but the league, I don't think the league is going to see that. If it's not Pittsburgh versus whoever, they're going to assume that it's just going to be bad ratings for the series.
Yeah.
Like we talked, weren't we talking about this last week? We were talking about how it would be great to, with Winnipeg being in Stanley Cup Finals, just because of that atmosphere, but it may not be the most, it might not be the sexiest appeal as far as the league would be concerned.
I think if the league, if what would be best for the league would be Vegas, Washington would probably be the best matchup, television wise, because you have the Ovechkin side of it, and then you have the Vegas side of it. You have an expansion team that's trying to go for the Stanley Cup. You have the excitement of just it being in Vegas. I think if they were an expansion team in Kansas City and they were making this type of run, I don't think you would have as much intrigue. It's the whole Vegas vibe. You know what I mean? So that would also bring a lot of people out. I think it would bring a lot of stars out and a lot of people out to come see, the Stanley Cup Finals, which would be nice.
I would just love to see what Vegas would do as an intro before the game for a Stanley Cup Final, because those intros that they have are disgusting. They're so cool, and you have. I was watching one of them, and I was watching one of them earlier today on YouTube from the game one of the second round. In one of the videos, the guy that posted it posed a question if it was, if this belongs in the game or not, and it's like, it's Vegas. Would you expect anything less? And whether we'd like to admit it or not, this game that we love to watch and play at the NHL level is entertainment. So they're going to have it whether you like it or not. They're going to have it because they want to. They get paid when they have people there.
Maybe they should have a white tiger come out and drop the puck. You know what I mean? Like drop the puck.
That might
Roy,
be pushing it just slightly.
Yeah, I think one of them got turned into tiger food. But I mean, you have like one of the tigers come out and drop the puck, and or Cirque du Soleil. I think one of the coolest things I ever saw was they had it was an Islanders home game, and they had an Army Ranger come from the ceiling, and he was like dangling upside down and dropped the puck. I think that was one of the coolest ones I ever saw.
That is cool.
Speaking of the Islanders, I just wanted to say, like, Bill Torrey passed away not too long ago, very recently. Bill Torrey was the architect of the Islanders, Stanley Cup run. He was also, what people forget is, after he left the Islanders, he went to the expansion Florida Panthers, and just like the Vegas Knights and everything that's going out there with George McPhee. He helped build up the Panthers to the fact that they went to a Stanley Cup Finals, I think in 96, I want to say.
96, yeah. 96.
So they went to the Stanley Cup Finals in 96, and they were brought into the league in 93. So, I mean, it was... yes. And then, oh, God, the rat.
That was great.
I mean, yes, it was, yes. But, I mean, it's funny because I was listening to the radio, and they were talking about it very briefly, but they're like, it was one of those guys that just knew hockey. You know what I mean? Like, it was just, you could put him in a room and just give him a folder of people, and they'd be like, oh, I'll build you a team. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
Very unfortunate, but it's crazy. It's sad to see when someone that's like a hockey lifer passes on, because just part of the game passes with them.
Oh, agreed. And he brought the game to, new heights. Even the Islanders, when they were an expansion team and then they go on to win 4 in a row after not long after their inception into the league too. So, I mean, I know it wasn't their first year. I know that, but mid '80s they were the team to beat, and no one could. 4 in a row for them. That's still. I would love to see the Devils win 4 in a row. That's got to be insane. An insane feeling for your team to win four Stanley Cups in a row.
Yeah, right. How crazy would that be? Like, after the second one, then 2 in a row, you're like, God, there's people that they get so used to winning. They're like, oh yeah, I'll just turn it on when they make it to the finals. It's like, you're such a scumbag. What are you, Patriots fan?
That's the other. That's that's the downside of winning. If you want to call it the downside of winning, you wind up having people that only come out for the playoffs. But apparently, according to a particular post writer that we discussed last week, I guess I forget what he called this, entitled championship, whatever, in the stands. So maybe we have ascended to that point. Maybe it's maybe we are now there.
Which is kind of a compliment if you think about it, because I mean that means we're winning. You know what I mean? So
even though it's their first winning in our first real winning season in years, our first season we've done anything since 2012. Yes, we're really entitled.
Super entitled. I mean, like, it's just the whole thing about that article, like, just coming off as attacking the fans for being passionate in the crowd. It was so funny because the next night, I think I was at work and I was staying late and I was listening to one of the games through my laptop, and something happened and you just hear the crowd ripping into I think it was the Penguins Capitals game, and you just hear the crowd ripping into like either Holtby or Murray or whoever. And all I could sit there and think is, like, does this guy, like, is he even tapped into the rest of the league? Is he tapped into any other building? How loud and crazy it gets. But
yeah, it definitely gets crazier in other buildings. It's, I hate to say it like this, but you can get crazier when your building is closer to sold out than not, which unfortunately our building is
Indeed.
Not very often, which would be nice if it was. It would be so much better if it was, but that's not anything that we are in full total control of. But yeah, there's worse stuff going on than what is said in 1 or 2 sections at our home games. That's for a fact.
Mm-hmm.
So, Sam, I see you've returned.
Yes, I have returned. I was actually, you talked about, trying to sell out your building. The first thing I could think of is Dollar Hot Dog Night. Remember them?
Yeah. Oh man, we wasted so many hot dogs because we just bought $10 at a time.
I actually found, I don't know if I should post it next Thursday. I actually did a documentary when Durango Steve bought 50 hot dogs and tried to feed Section 208. He actually literally bought 50 hot dogs and asked for a box. And then I took a video with my phone, and we were just acting so obnoxious. And he was literally giving out hot dogs to people sitting in Section 208 on Dollar Hot Dog Night. And how did he pay for it? He paid for it because they came, I guess, like the season tickets that year. We got a card, and they gave us,
I remember that. Yeah,
they gave us like $200 food credit or something like that. So he literally took his card. It's like, I want 50 hot dogs. And the lady's like, "You serious?" It's like, "Yeah, I want 50 hot dogs, all 50." "Are you serious?" And then she's like, "Hey, I got something for you." She goes to the manager. "They want 50 hot dogs." And oh my goodness, they were really nice. It wasn't an ordeal. Then we started chanting, when they were getting all the hot dogs out and all that. But I did find the video, and I don't think I've ever posted it online, but I should post it, in the Let's Go Devils Facebook group.
Yeah, please post it. I'd like to see it. I remember being there, and I remember all the cheap meat coming up the stands, but I never saw I never saw the video.
And then, and the worst part of it all, the worst part of it all, if you remember, the two kids that sat in our section. I don't want to name names just because they're still minors, but the daughter, we told her not to buy any hot dogs, and what did she do? She bought like 6 hot dogs on top of the 50 that we bought for the section. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
We had so much cheap meat in the section.
Cheap meat.
They should have cheap popcorn night. That can turn into a real good time real quick.
Do you remember popcorn night at the old Section 218?
Of course I do.
Devils Rangers, and
that's another thing to post is pictures of the post-apocalyptic popcorn mess that we used to leave all the time.
Beer Baron, I got to tell you this story about popcorn night. So I don't know who got the idea. I don't know if it was me or somebody, but I remember probably me. But I remember collecting about $400 cash in the parking lot to contribute to popcorn night. I think they were like $7, $8 a bag, and I remember that was her name, just the letter I, that worked at the Meadowlands, and I said, I want a lot of popcorn. It's like, how much? It's like, and I just laid down the cash. It's like, oh my goodness. So we had like boxfuls of popcorn that we brought into Section 218, and we told everybody the first goal, whoever scores the first goal of the Devils, we throw the popcorn in the air. I didn't even, and of course, Sergei Brelin against the Rangers. Sergei Brelin scores the first goal with like 5 minutes into the game. I hadn't even passed out all the popcorn yet. I think I was maybe like a quarter through it, through the popcorn, passed out. And I remember I was like this, hucking popcorn, literally for about a minute. Just I took whatever I could find and just threw it up in the air. It was literally a popcorn blizzard for about 2 minutes straight of just popcorn all over the place. It was like the most wonderful thing I've ever seen in my life. It's just nonstop, just nonstop popcorn.
Hey, I want to say I want to welcome Adrian to our podcast. She just my first time tuning in. This is pretty neat. So thank you for tuning in as you get to hear the glorious popcorn story.
Yes. Welcome, Adrian. Welcome. Yeah, now I have a feeling this is what most of the summer is going to be. Is just rehashing
regaling old stories. Which, by the way, if anybody out there on Facebook wants to regale us with any stories, I mean, obviously, don't write paragraphs, but we're always willing to listen. There's, one of the best parts about going to a game is the experience with your buddies and stuff like that, and your fans or your friends, and and then many times avoiding Devil's Jail. But
oh yeah,
actually, I have to say,
Sam, real quick, Sam, I just sent something to our group chat. If you want to, after Beer Baron tells the story, we can post that. If you want, you can post that picture I just sent. Anyway, continue, okay. Beer Baron.
No. What I was gonna say is how impressed I am with how Will Butcher and Keith Kincaid are doing over in the World Championships right now. Dude, Butcher's had almost as many goals in a couple of games over there as he did all season. So, I mean, it does help that they're all, Blake Coleman's playing really well, but he's also on a line with Patrick Kane and Johnny Gaudreau, so that helps too. But
yeah, but you learn from that.
Team USA is doing well.
Yeah, but he can learn from that situation with those guys, and you can pick skills up from those guys just as your teammates, which is great. But Keith Kincaid having a 40-save shootout win, I should say, not shutout, 40-save shootout win against Canada the other night. Like, well done. Like, Kincaid's, and it's. I think it's going to be a hard decision keeping both of them on the team long term. I think a decision is going to have to be made with the two of them, unless they do something to make both of them happy in a playing situation. But if they're both competitive, the only time that they're going to be happy is if they're both playing. So.
Yeah, which is true, but at the same time, if you can keep that balance, which is keeping both of them fresh, I mean, that could run you through the entire year, but then you would always run into that brick wall, which is called the playoffs. Like, if you get into the playoffs, then it becomes like, hey, sorry, Corey, but, Keith has been playing well. It's basically what happened this year. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it works well. I see like David in the group was saying, like, it's done because they make a real good tandem. Like, tandems are great. Don't get me wrong. Like, I agree. But at the same time, that's where it becomes an issue, is when you hit the playoffs, because you can't really say, hey, we're going to run this series with you, and then we're going to go to the other guy, in the next series, or, hey, we'll do 2 with you and 3 with this guy. Like, you have to have consistency, and you have to have, just the reps under your belt to just stay hot in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's the playoffs are where you get into a problem with rotating. Do you go with one, or do you continue a rotation that's worked? And then what if you get into a situation where you've lost 2 of your games and you're coming to a pivotal game 6 or 7? Do you have to make a decision with somebody? It's. I mean, you want 2 really good goalies if you're going to go anywhere in the playoffs, just in case. But a rotation is tough when it comes to meaningful games.
Yeah, agreed.
That's where it becomes an issue, is just meaningful games. So
yeah, and it's funny because there's so many things that are going to go into this off seasons, and we this is another thing that's going to be the continuous summer chat until July 1st hit, which is what are they going to do? Who are they going to add? Blah blah blah. John Carlson, whatever money the Devils have to throw at him, I think he's worth it, because if you've seen what he's done with the Capitals this year, and especially in this playoff run, he is such a difference maker when he's on the ice. And adding him to the team would be a huge, huge, huge addition to not just the blue line, but to the power play, to just the team overall. And then
I agree.
The more and more you think about it, and the more and more it's out there, I don't think John Tavares is 100% going back to Long Island. And I mean, there's a report the other day that it leaked out, whatever, that he's just fed up with the nonsense that's gone on over there. And he's tired of not having a stable GM. He's tired of having this and this and this. So is he on the out and out? It seems like he might be. If you're the Devils, you throw the money at those 2 guys and you run with it.
Agreed. Or if you're the Islanders, you get your stuff together and you keep the guy happy if that's what it's going to take to keep the organization afloat. But yeah, if he's unhappy, then he's got no excuse to stay.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, you're right. You're right, because he's carried that franchise on his back for how long, and you can only do that for so long without
it
success,
wearing on you.
and it just wears on you. It's like, look at what I've done for you. What have you done for me? Like, who have you really brought back? You let guys walk. You let guys. You can't give certain guys contracts, and I mean they bring in Eberle and a few other people, but I mean it's just it's
worked.
unstable. It's unstable.
Nothing's
and
worked.
And David just asked, what would we get for Kincaid? To be honest with you, it depends on how desperate of a team you fall into. If you get a team that's super desperate, they might give up a number 2, a second round pick, but I wouldn't expect like a first overall or anything.
Yeah, if you're gonna trade Kincaid, if he's the guy that you trade there, I would hope that it would be the right trade and not just whatever the first thing to come along. Like make sure that you're gonna get something good in return, because you're an injury away from having no goaltender.
Well,
not to say that Appleby or anyone else in the system wouldn't be able to do it, but that's real tough right there. I mean, we saw Snyder went down and Keith Kincaid stepped up, and that's the reason why we made the playoffs, was Kincaid was able to shoulder the load.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, this might sound really stupid, but at the same time, I'm kind of happy that Tampa Bay beat Boston and moved on to the next round. And it has nothing really to do with like disliking Boston because, whatever, they're Boston. It's the fact that you're like, all right, well, they're good enough to get past us. At least they're good enough to get past the next round. Hopefully, they're one of those teams that keeps going through. But it's crazy, like it's crazy to think what this team did this year, and you hope next year that they don't fall into that slump of like, look at what Edmonton did. Last year Edmonton placed the playoffs. They were everybody's sweetheart. Everybody loved them. This year they crapped the bed, So
yeah, they went back to same old Edmonton.
They don't fall into that. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I hope the Devils don't, and I don't think they will, but anything can happen. But we are well ahead of schedule where we're going to be. I think Shiro is building a team for the future, and this is just the start. Whereas Edmonton has had so many tries with so many first overall picks, and they still can't get it together. It's like if you have that many first overall picks, you should have a killer team.
And what's to say about, there's a few of those guys that ended up being, complete busts like Yakupov, but there is so much talent. There is so much unbelievable talent on that team that, you're right. How they never were able to make it into the playoffs with Taylor Hall, and you see the type of player that Taylor Hall is, and you're like, man, were they underusing him? Were they not using him correctly? Did he not have the right kind of motivation or coach? Because this dude just carried the Devils the entire season. You know what I mean? Like, if he's not the heart, then I don't know who is.
Coaching does have a lot to do with that.
Yeah, I have a concern. I have a concern, guys, because I was thinking about the other day, and I'm normally a positive Devils fan, but the little negativity came in. I thought to myself, Taylor Hall had a career year, right? A Hart Trophy type season. If he doesn't sustain that, are the Devils a one-trick pony? And it all falls apart next year. He sure goes on a sophomore slump. All these other players go on a sophomore slump. I mean, I worry about that because
that's where. No, go ahead.
No, I just worry about that because it's the Devils are ahead of schedule. The Devils are ahead of schedule. Well, yeah, they are, but at the same time, that should they be in the lottery draft again this year? I mean, I'm so happy that they made the playoffs, but just one guy pretty much carried them on their back, and that's Taylor Hall.
And I think that's what Shiro's going to take a look at, and he's going to say, you know what, all right, we had really one guy pulling the reins, but you have to hear. You have to look at every aspect of this team. Guys like Coleman that came through, Gibbons that came through when he was healthy. All the little pieces that fell into place. Jasper Brett was playing great in the beginning of the year. He sure played pretty amazing throughout the entire year. Butcher, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, all those guys could go into a sophomore slump, but at the same time, that's when you go out and you get yourself another veteran scorer. If they can, and I mean, it's a big if they can land a Tavares, that takes the pressure off of Taylor Hall. That takes the pressure off of, guys like Heischer having to live up to that, going to that next step. That also gives more of a cushion to some of the other guys like Palmieri.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to totally agree with you. And I was gonna say something very similar. It's if Shiro's got to understand that a lot of this season was carried by Taylor Hall, and we have obviously seen this year anyone is expendable. So I think that, and this is the offseason, during this offseason, I should say, they look at the team and they say, okay, where are the gaps? What do we need to fill? Who can we move on that we can receive something in return? Who can we sign? So although we are ahead of schedule, there are definite gaps there that we need to fill, and I think this is the summer to start filling those gaps. And then that's where, and you have to also you have to bring up Sam's point, and you have to have the possible consideration of a sophomore slump. So there's got to be some kind of a contingency plan if there is a sophomore slump for a extended period of time for a lot of these players. However, we've also seen this year Coach Hines was very good at knowing when to bench a player, for how long to bench a player, just to get them back and motivated again to play.
Yeah, and
so
I think there's
a lot of this also comes down to the coach too.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because that's exactly what David was saying in the Facebook group, is it comes down to the coach. And I feel like you're right. And I feel like Hines was given a little bit more freedom this year to say, you know what, I'm gonna bench, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and maybe he was given the green light to be like, all right, if you need to be a little bit harsher on some of the guys, you got to be a little bit harsher. If you go to the Devils website and you actually listen to Ray Shiro's end of the year address, he addresses a lot of that stuff. And he said something really interesting. He said, at this time the year before, I didn't know we were going to have Marcus Johansson. The year before that, I didn't know we were going to have Taylor Hall. He's like, things happen and things kind of evolve in the offseason that, right towards the end of the year, you don't really know what's going to happen. And then all of a sudden things, kind of surface. There's teams that are cap strapped and need to unload a contract that they can't afford anymore. Or there's, teams that just need to make the move because there's, for whatever reason, maybe they're trying to make a different move. Like maybe they're trying to bring in an Eric Carlson and they can't because they have to move this one contract to get out of there. So, there's a lot of things that they could be doing this, in this offseason that we won't know until it happens. Yeah. It just sounds like a stupid statement, but it's true.
And I actually looked up earlier, free agency opens up July 1 like it does every year, which is a Sunday. So it's a normal podcast day for us. So we may have hopefully we'll have a lot to talk about. I know we have perfectly aligned this year with the opening of free agency, with it being a Sunday night, regular podcast night.
Wow.
I think we're in for some good times right there.
Wow. Sweet. Plus, hey guys, I got a glimpse in the future of the draft. If you want to see what I got here, let me show you who the New York Rangers. I don't know. Maybe I just blew that segment. Let me post this picture.
There you go.
You remember that, Shorts guy?
Oh, that is one of my all-time favorite pictures, because that's me holding up that burning Messier jersey.
Whose jersey was it?
I don't know. Someone had a Messier jersey at one of the tailgates. No, we just burnt it.
No. Let me go back. All right. I got this when Messier left to go to Vancouver at J.C. Penney's in Rockaway, New Jersey, the Rockaway Mall. This was going for $21.99. I think around the year 1999. So I bought it, and then we went out and burnt it. I know we're a bunch of savages. I know.
Bunch of savages in the South.
Oh my gosh.
Savages.
There is still one picture, Sam, that I have yet to see from Danico night that someone has to have.
What, doing keg stands on
Yes,
Danico night?
Yes, we were doing keg stands at Danico night. It was so much fun, and I know there's a picture somewhere, and I need to see that picture of me doing a keg stand from Danico night.
Oh my God.
We were actually able to clear a keg of Bud on Danico night in the parking lot. It was great. And we just left it out there while we went to the game, and it was still there when we came back.
It is like 75% carbonation, so
whatever. We still cleared a half barrel of Bud. Like it was such a good time.
Yeah. Douglas Walker says they can make some smart signings. Tavares would be nice addition, but there are more pressing needs than him. Tighten up the blue line. John Carlson.
Yeah.
John Tavares. Bing, bang, boom.
Guys,
they would glaring holes. Sewn up nice and tight.
John Carlson should be on the New Jersey Devils. If it wasn't for David Conti and the love affair of Swedish players that never amounted to anything, like Nicholas Bergfors.
You said this last week, yes.
Tenenby, Josephson, all these guys. I mean, Josephson did have some kind of use. It was kind of like, throw him to Vegas, let them figure out, what to do with them. But, to get John Carlson, I mean, how could you not pick him back then, back in 2009? I don't understand what Lou and David Conti were thinking. Tenenby, he was a quick player, but you know what? He didn't last that long in the NHL. And I believe there were attitude problems because he was young, stupid, this and that. But I hope that the Devils, I hope they make a run at some of these guys. They need help on the blue line. They need help, a lot of help on the blue line defensively.
Yeah. Oh, agreed. Yeah, and that's the crapshoot that is the draft. So it's the guys can turn out really well, like he sure did this year, or they can not turn into a bust, which all teams have had plenty of them. So
true that. Yeah, think about how many people are drafted and how many people actually make it to the show.
Yeah, no, agreed. And then think about all those guys that are drafted 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round and turn out to be huge.
Yeah, like Martin St. Louis.
Yeah. You really can't tell when you draft a player. I mean, they have all this potential. There's all these write-ups about it, but they may not, they may become a bust. They may be awesome, but they may also become a bust too, so.
You know what?
What?
It's just you and I, Shorts Guy. Beer Baron needed to go to the bathroom or something like that. But you know what? All that background noise was coming through Beer Baron.
Oh.
You should really talk to him about that background noise. I don't know. Is this microphone hooked up? I don't know. I see him on the monitor right now. I think he's behind the couch or something like that. I think we should maybe we should zoom in and see what's going on with Beer Baron right now.
That's for the that's what the monthly subscription allows you to see, is the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, Let's Go Devils Podcast XL. That sounds all right. Well, Beer Baron, your mic is off because I turned it off, and I just turned it back on. Beer Baron, welcome back to the podcast. We were just talking about you. Yeah.
I know.
I don't know.
The XL edition, you can see what we wear below this line. So,
wow. Yeah. I'll give you a little preview of the XL edition. I'll just try to stand up. I'm wearing pink shorts right now.
For a second, those shorts looked flesh colored, and I got a little concerned. I thought you were rocking a banana hammock.
Our very good friend Josh would be very pleased in your choice of pastel colors today.
Hey, it's an old money thing. I can't help myself.
I'll tell you what. While Sam was showing off his salmon colored shorts, they just did a montage of some of Fleury's saves from tonight, and his saves tonight are unreal.
Dude, he's a man on a mission.
He is going to be the reason why Vegas wins. And then you also have to bring this up, which, talking about matchups and everything, Vegas-Pittsburgh in the finals. Could you imagine that?
I mean, I, for one, don't want to see it just because I don't want to see Pittsburgh in the finals. But, yeah, dude, that would be – I guarantee he's probably sitting there watching each game in the Eastern Conference just going, come on. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like that training montage from Rocky. You know, you see Fleury like running up a hill with a big piece of wood on his back.
And then out of nowhere, there's a Mercedes-Benz driving through the snow chasing after you. That was always that part always got me for some reason. I don't know why. It's like out of nowhere. But then again, that was communist Russia. So
yes, in Mother Russia, cars chase you.
Oh my gosh!
Thank you.
Dude, it's like the whole thing this year with the Devils Instagram and whoever was in charge of the multimedia, I have to really give a lot of credit to because they were doing some pretty amazing things. They did that splicing together of 300 where they had like the Devils flags waving in the background. It was so badass looking. Yep. But there was like a lot of really cool things that they did. If I were the Golden Knights, and you got to believe they have those kind of things, they have to do like a training Fleury montage now. It's like just replace Rocky's head with Fleury's head.
Well, if they're listening, if they're listening and they mine our program for ideas, we'll see that happen in the next week. But that's only if they end up playing Pittsburgh. But you have to imagine that either the league. You got to imagine that either the League or the Devils paid some extra money for the royalties to some of those clips just to show them. But the fact that they were willing to give the latitude to whoever was running their social media to kind of go at things, because whenever you have a team that has a social media department that's allowed to really kind of go at other teams, it always makes for such entertaining bits online, and it's great.
Oh, dude, they had some really good ones. They had like NJ Devil standing next to the Joker from the first Batman when he has the extendo glove that hits the TV screen, and the TV screen had the Vegas Golden Knights logo on it. So I mean, there was a ton of things that they did this year with that social media that was like awesome. I thought it was like really well done.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And
they follow us on Instagram too.
Yes, they do. And it looks like Vegas may have just punched their ticket. They've gone up 3-0 now on an empty net goal.
Yeah, but what does Sam Fischler say about 3? Oh, with an empty netter. Never mind. I didn't realize it was already this late.
Yeah, 151 left in the third. So
yeah, that's it.
And guess what? It all starts with a Fleury save. So
and by the way, San Jose Sharks, the Washington Capitals of the Western Conference.
Agreed.
Although they did make it to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, but still, they have not been able to get very far. Other than that, that's about it.
Poor Joe Thornton.
So we're gonna have to make our predictions by this time next week. We'll have our predictions for round 3 because we'll be at least 1 or 2 games into round 3 by next Sunday. So we'll make predictions.
I can see where I totally forgot what my predictions were for this round. So I think
we got them somewhere. I have to work up scores, see who's winning between you, me, and Sam. So I'll work up scores.
I think I'm batting 100 in this round so far because I'm pretty sure it's at Tampa Bay and Vegas. I just need Washington, and I think I might have said Winnipeg.
We got to go back in the group chat and see who picked what. So we'll do that.
Yes.
I'll do that, and I'll affix some scores to what we've picked so far from first and second round. So, and there they are. Found him. Cool. All right, cool. I found him. You are, let's say, you said Tampa in 7, which it was Tampa. No. Beer
Did
Baron.
I say San Jose?
You said Sharks in 6.
Damn it.
You said Sharks in 6.
I meant to say the other. Oh, well.
Yeah. I said Tampa in 5. I said Tampa in 5 and Washington in 6. That's a possibility. Sam, you had Washington in 6, Tampa in 5. You got that. You said Winnipeg in 7 and Vegas in 6. There we go.
Wow. I may look
Sam
like
might
a
be.
genius.
Yeah, Sam and I have the possibility of sweeping this round because we have the same we had the same predictions here. So
Damn it,
cool.
heck.
I'll fix the score and we'll have a score sheet for next week and see who's leading after 2 rounds of the playoffs.
Okay.
Alrighty?
All right. Should we pull the plug?
Yeah, let's pull the plug.
All right. Well, we want to thank everybody on Facebook Live, everybody on Periscope chiming in tonight. This is episode 31. We will leave you with this. Till next time, let's go Devils.
You're crazy. You're crazy. You fell, you fat pig.